I thought helping my best friend prepare for his date would hurt, but I did not know it would teach my heart how to break quietly. Ryan Carter stood in front of the mirror in his downtown Chicago apartment, turning the cuffs of his navy shirt like the decision mattered more than the person waiting for him across town. The city glowed behind the windows, all silver towers and red taillights sliding through the rain, while I sat on the edge of his couch with my hands folded so tightly my knuckles had gone pale. He had asked me to come over because, according to him, I knew him better than anyone. That was the problem. I knew the way he took his coffee, the way his left eyebrow lifted when he was pretending not to care, the way his alpha scent changed from clean cedar and winter air to something warmer whenever he laughed for real. I knew him in all the small ways a person learned a home, and tonight he wanted me to help him become perfect for someone else. Too formal? He asked, glancing at me through the mirror. His black hair was still damp from the shower, combed back but not tamed, and his blue eyes carried that cool confidence people loved about him. People like Tyler Brooks, the alpha he was meeting in 40 minutes at a restaurant 3 miles away. Tyler was successful, polished, and exactly the kind of person Ryan's family would approve of. I forced a smile and shook my head. No, you look good. The words came out steady, which felt like a small miracle. Ryan turned, studying me with the kind of focus that always made my omega instincts forget how to behave. Good enough for a first date? I looked away before my face betrayed me. That depends. Are you planning to interrogate him like a job candidate? He laughed, and the sound hit me harder than it should have. That's why you're here, Ethan. I'm bad at this. No, I thought. You're only bad at noticing what is already in front of you. Out loud, I said, then sit down. We'll practice. He crossed the room and took the chair opposite me, close enough that our knees almost touched. Rain tapped softly against the glass. Somewhere below, a horn sounded and disappeared into the wet streets. Ryan leaned forward, elbows on his thighs, suddenly serious. What do I say first? I swallowed. Ask him about his day. But don't sound like you're reading from a manual. Show me. My chest tightened. Ryan, come on, he said gently. Pretend you're him. Pretend. The words settled between us like a warning. I breathed in, nodded, and lifted my eyes to his. Okay, I'm Tyler. Ryan held my gaze, and for one strange second, the room changed. His expression softened, the practiced confidence slipping into something quieter, more honest. I'm glad you came, he said. My heart stumbled. It was only rehearsal. It was only a line meant for someone else. But his voice was too low, too careful, and when the warmth of his scent brushed through the room, I realized this practice date was already becoming dangerous. The dangerous part was not that Ryan was handsome, or that the rain made his apartment feel smaller, or that I had spent years memorizing the shape of his silence. The dangerous part was that he looked at me like he had forgotten we were pretending. I held his gaze for 3 seconds too long before I forced myself to smile. That was good, I said, even though nothing about it felt good. But Tyler will probably expect more than one sentence. Ryan leaned back in his chair, one hand resting loosely on his knee. Right, Tyler. He said the name as if he had misplaced it somewhere. I try not to notice. I try not to hope. Hope was the cruelest thing a heart could do when it already knew the ending. Tell me about him, I said, because pain was easier when I gave it structure. Ryan glanced toward the window, where Chicago blurred beneath sheets of rain. He works in finance. My mother met him at a charity dinner. She said he is stable, accomplished, from a good family. That sounds like a resume, not a date. Maybe that is the point. His voice was calm, but something tired moved beneath it. My parents think I need someone serious. Someone who fits. I pressed my nails lightly into my palm. And do you? Ryan looked back at me. Do I what? Need someone who fits. The question slipped out too soft, too personal, and I almost wished the storm outside would. Swallow it. Ryan did not answer right away. His scent shifted again, cedar turning warmer at the edges, like sunlight touching snow. I do not know, he said. That is why I agreed to meet him. I nodded as if that made perfect sense. Tyler Brooks was the kind of alpha people trusted on sight. 6 feet tall, perfect smile, clean reputation, the type who looked right in photographs beside someone like Ryan. I had seen his profile when Ryan showed me the restaurant reservation earlier. He had golden hair, bright eyes, and the easy confidence of a man who had never needed to wonder whether he belonged in a room. I wondered what he would think if he saw me here, sitting barefoot on Ryan's gray rug because I had taken off my wet shoes by the door, wearing an old green sweater Ryan once said made my eyes look softer. I wondered if Tyler would recognize me for what I was. The best friend, the safe place, the person who knew everything except how to leave. You should ask him about his work, I said. People like talking about what they are good at. Ryan tilted his head. And what should I avoid? Do not mention your mother picked him. That made him laugh again, quieter this time. Noted. I reached for the glass of water on the coffee table, needing something to do with my hands. And do not compare him to anyone. Who would I compare him to? My fingers tightened around the glass. Ryan's eyes dropped to the movement, then rose back to my face. The air between us changed, not loudly, not all at once, but enough that I felt it settle on my skin. No one, I said. Forget I said that. His phone lit up on the table before he could respond. Tyler Brooks appeared across the screen with a small blue message bubble beneath his name. Looking forward to tonight. For one bright, painful second, the room remembered the truth. Ryan was leaving soon. I was only the rehearsal. Tyler's message sat on the coffee table like a third person in the room. The screen dimmed after a few seconds, but I could still see his name in my mind, bright and polite and unavoidable. Ryan did not reach for the phone. He only stared at it with the same expression he used when studying a contract he did not trust. You should answer, I said. My voice sounded normal, which felt unfair. Some part of me wanted the room to hear how badly I was losing. He is probably already on his way. Ryan's eyes stayed on the dark screen. He can wait. The words were simple, almost careless, but they landed inside my chest with dangerous weight. I forced a small laugh and stood before my heart could misunderstand him any further. That is not how first dates work, Ryan. You are supposed to be excited, not treating him like a calendar alert. He looked up at me then. Is that what excitement looks like? What? You know people better than I do. Show me. I should have refused. I should have grabbed my coat, stepped into the elevator, and let the rainy Chicago night rinse him from my skin. Instead, I stayed, because loving Ryan had always made me foolish in quiet, ordinary ways. Fine, I said, folding my arms. A first date is not a business meeting. You do not sit there like you are deciding whether to acquire someone. The corner of his mouth lifted. So no questions about long-term growth potential? Absolutely not. What do I ask then? I took a breath and sat back down, closer this time, because I needed to prove to myself that closeness meant nothing. You ask him something real, something that gives him room to be honest. Ryan leaned forward. Like what? I looked at his hands, broad and still on his knees. Ask him what kind of place makes him feel safe. The amusement faded from Ryan's face. For a moment, only the rain answered. That is too personal for a first date, he said. Maybe, but it is better than asking about his job for 20 minutes. All right. He adjusted his posture, as if stepping into a role. Ethan. My name sounded different in his voice when the room was this quiet. You are Tyler, remember? I whispered. Ryan did not correct himself. His gaze held mine, steady and blue and impossible to escape. What kind of place makes you feel safe? My throat tightened. It was only practice. It had to be only practice. I glanced toward the window, where the city lights trembled in the rain. Small places, I said, before I could stop myself. Warm places. Kitchens after midnight. Cars parked outside diners when nobody wants to go home yet. Apartments where someone remembers how you take your tea. Ryan's expression changed so slightly that anyone else would have missed it. I did not. I knew every shadow that crossed his face. That sounds specific, he said. I smiled, but it hurt. Good answers usually are. He was silent long enough for my pulse to become loud in my ears. Then he said, if Tyler says something like that, what do I do? You listen. And if I want to say something back, then say something honest. Ryan's scent deepened, still cedar, still winter, but warmer now, as if the room had moved closer to a fire I could not see. He lowered his voice. I have never felt safe with someone because they were impressive. I have only felt safe with someone because they stayed. The air left my lungs in a quiet rush. I knew I was supposed to correct him, to remind him that Tyler would not understand that answer, that this was rehearsal and nothing more. But Ryan was not looking at an imaginary alpha across a restaurant table. He was looking at me. I wanted to pretend I had misunderstood him, because misunderstanding was safer than hope. Hope had teeth. It could smile at you for years, sit beside you on gray couches during storms, learn your favorite tea, and still leave you alone when the person you loved chose someone else. Ryan remained perfectly still in the chair across from me, but the room did not feel still anymore. His words had changed the shape of everything. I have only felt safe with someone because they stayed. I should have laughed. I should have said Tyler would think that sounded intense for a first date. Instead, I looked down at my hands and found them trembling. That is honest, I said. Maybe too honest. Ryan leaned closer, his elbows resting on his knees, his blue eyes searching my face like he was trying to read a language he had spent years pretending not to know. Is that bad? For Tyler? I forced the name out. Maybe. A quiet line formed between Ryan's brows. Why do you keep saying his name like that? My heart gave one hard, frightened beat. Like what? Like you are reminding both of us he exists. The rain struck harder against the windows, a soft silver curtain over the Chicago skyline. I reached for the safest answer and hated myself for needing it. Because he does exist, Ryan. He is waiting for you at a nice restaurant, probably wearing an expensive coat and wondering why you are late. Ryan glanced at his phone again. The screen was dark, but I knew Tyler's message was still there, polite and patient and perfect. Then we should keep practicing, he said. You still have not taught me what to do with my hands. The sentence should have been harmless. It was not. My mouth went dry as Ryan extended one hand, palm up, between us. At dinner, he clarified, softer now. If the moment feels right. What is normal? Nothing about this felt normal. Still, I moved because my body had trusted him long before my heart admitted the truth. I placed my hand over his, intending only to demonstrate a brief, polite touch, the kind people used across candlelit tables when they wanted to say, I am listening without saying too much. But Ryan's fingers closed gently around mine before I could pull away. Not tight, not demanding, just enough to make the world narrow to warmth, skin, and breath. His hand was larger than mine, steady and familiar, yet it felt new in a way that made my chest ache. The cedar in his scent shifted immediately. It lost its sharp winter edge and deepened into something warmer, softer, more protective, like a cabin lit from within during heavy snow. Ryan inhaled once, quietly, and his eyes widened. He felt it too. That? I whispered, though I had forgotten what lesson we were pretending to teach. That is enough. It does not feel like enough, he said. My pulse jumped. Ryan. He looked at our joined hands as if the answer had been there all along, waiting in the space between our fingers. When I imagined touching Tyler's hand, I felt nothing. The admission landed with a force that stole every careful word from me. Ryan lifted his gaze back to mine. But when you touched me, I forgot I was supposed to leave. I should have pulled my hand away. That would have been the reasonable thing, the kind thing, maybe even the honest thing. Instead, I sat frozen on Ryan Carter's gray couch while the rain turned his windows into mirrors and our joined hands became the loudest secret in the room. He was still looking at me as if he had just discovered something impossible, something that had been sitting beside him for years in worn sweaters and tired smiles. My heart begged me to believe it. My fear begged louder. You are confused, I said, carefully sliding my fingers back before his warmth could become a promise. This is practice. You are nervous about Tyler, and I am familiar. That is all. Ryan's hand remained open between us for a second after mine was gone, as though his body did not understand the loss. Then he slowly closed his fingers and looked toward the city. I do not feel nervous about Tyler. Then why are you going? He did not answer fast enough. That silence said more than any confession could have. I stood and walked to the kitchen island, pretending to inspect the small bowl of lemons he never used, but always kept because I once said the apartment looked less lonely with color in it. Less lonely. I almost laughed at the cruelty of my own memory. Ryan followed, not close enough to crowd me, but close enough that his scent moved with him, warm cedar threading through the cool air. Maybe I am going because everyone keeps telling me I should want that kind of life, he said. A clean match. A respectable alpha. Someone who makes sense. I touched the edge of the counter, grounding myself in the cold stone. Tyler does make sense. I know. He is successful. I know. He is probably kind. Ethan. My name stopped me. I turned. Ryan stood under the soft kitchen light, his dark hair falling slightly over his forehead now, his perfect shirt wrinkled at the cuffs because he had been twisting them all night. For the first time, he did not look like the untouchable alpha everyone admired. He looked uncertain, human. Mine, whispered the weakest part of me, and I hated it for being so hopeful. We should practice the part where you say why you asked him out, I said, because if I stopped moving, I would break. Ryan's jaw tightened, but he nodded. All right. I forced myself back into the role. Tell him something sincere. Not impressive. Sincere. He took one slow breath. I do not want someone perfect. My eyes flickered to his. Ryan continued, voice low and careful. I want someone who knows when I am lying. Someone who notices when I am tired before I say it. Someone who remembers the things I forget about myself. My chest ached so sharply that I almost stepped back. Do not say that. Why not? Because it sounds too personal. Maybe I wanted to. The room went terribly quiet. My pulse filled the silence. I searched his face for the joke, the mistake, the easy explanation that would save us both. But Ryan only looked at me with a terrifying kind of honesty. That is not for Tyler, I whispered. No, he said. I am starting to think it never was. His phone buzzed again on the coffee table, the sound slicing through the moment. We both looked toward it. Tyler was waiting. The life Ryan was supposed to choose was waiting. I told myself to move, to tell him to answer, to be a good friend one more time. But Ryan did not even turn toward the phone. He only watched me, as if the whole city had gone silent, and I was the only sound left. The phone buzzed until it stopped, then started again almost immediately, bright and insistent on the coffee table across the room. Tyler Brooks was no longer just waiting at a restaurant 3 miles away. He was calling. The sound filled every corner of Ryan's apartment, cutting through the rain, through the warm cedar in the air, through the fragile thing that had begun to form between us before either of us had the courage to name it. Ryan did not move. His eyes stayed on me, steady and unreadable, while the phone kept vibrating against the glass tabletop like a tiny alarm warning us to return to the lives we were supposed to have. I folded my arms across my chest, not because I was cold, but because I needed somewhere to put my hands. Answer it, I said. Ryan's expression did not change. Do you want me to? The question was quiet, but it landed with the force of a confession. I looked away first. It does not matter. What I want. It matters to me. I let out a small, humorless breath. That is not fair. No, he said. It probably is not. The phone went silent, leaving behind a ringing absence that somehow felt worse. Ryan took one step toward me, then stopped, as if he was afraid the wrong movement would make me run. I wished he would stop being careful. I wished he would be careless enough to make this easy to hate. You have a date, I said, forcing each word into place. Tyler is probably sitting at a table right now, checking the door every time someone walks in. He deserves an answer. Ryan nodded slowly. You are right. Relief and disappointment twisted together so tightly I could not separate them. Then go. He picked up his phone at last. For 1 second, I thought he would call Tyler back, apologize, grab his coat, and leave me standing in the kitchen with nothing but the smell of him on my sweater. Instead, Ryan stared at the missed calls and did nothing. Ryan, I am trying to understand something. There is nothing to understand. There is everything to understand. His voice lowered, not in anger, but in that careful way he used when he was holding too much feeling too close to the surface. When he calls, I feel guilty. When you tell me to go, I feel like I am losing something I should have protected years ago. My throat tightened. Do not say things like that just because tonight feels strange. Tonight does feel strange, he said. But you do not. That is the problem. He set the phone down again, face down this time, and the gesture looked so final that my heart nearly gave in. I shook my head. You cannot make me the reason you stand someone up. Then tell me the truth. About what? Ryan stepped closer, still leaving space between us, but not enough for me to pretend distance existed. What will you think if I go? The question stole the air from the room. I could have lied. I had spent years becoming talented at it. I could have smiled, told him I would think he was brave, mature, ready for something good. Instead, my voice came out small and honest. I will think I finally helped you leave me. Ryan's face changed. The last bit of uncertainty disappeared, replaced by something fierce and heartbreakingly clear. The phone lit up again beneath his hand, but he did not look at it. He only looked at me, as if the answer he had been practicing for all night had finally become real. For a moment after I said it, neither of us moved. My confession did not explode the way I had always feared it would. It simply settled over the kitchen like dust after a door had been closed too hard, quiet, and impossible to ignore. Ryan stared at me, his phone glowing beneath his hand, his face stripped of every practiced expression I knew. I had seen him calm in boardrooms, charming at crowded dinners, patient with his family when they pushed too hard, but I had never seen him look lost. Not until me. Ethan, he said, and my name sounded careful, almost broken. That was what made me step back. Not anger, not rejection, tenderness. I could have survived anything except tenderness arriving too late. Do not, I whispered. Please do not say my name like you just found out I am real. His jaw tightened, and the warmth in his scent trembled through the room, reaching for me before he did. My omega instincts leaned toward it, toward him, toward 10 years of being safe beside the wrong kind of love. I hated how natural it felt. I hated that my body still trusted what my heart could not afford. I need to understand, Ryan said. No, you need to go on your date. That is not what I need. I laughed once, soft and uneven. You do not get to decide that now. Not after asking me how to hold his hand. Not after asking me what to say to him. Not after looking at me like this only because someone else finally made the room feel urgent. The words came faster than I expected, years of silence breaking through all at once. I can help you practice smiling. I can help you practice listening. I can tell you which shirt makes you look less intimidating and which restaurant will make your mother happy. I can sit across from you and pretend to be the alpha you are supposed to want. But I cannot teach you how to look at someone else the way you just looked at me. Ryan took a breath as if the truth had struck him in the chest. Ethan, I was not pretending. My eyes burned, but I refused to let the tears fall while he was still close enough to wipe them away. That is the cruel part. I think maybe you were not. The rain blurred the windows behind him, turning the city into a soft gray watercolor. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it felt like the end of something I had never been brave enough to start. I walked past him toward the living room, picking up my damp shoes, my coat, the small pieces of myself I could still carry. Ryan followed at a distance. Where are you going? Home. It is raining. It is Chicago. It is always doing something inconvenient. My attempt at humor cracked at the edges. I slipped on my shoes near the door, hands shaking so badly the laces would not cooperate. Ryan crouched before I could stop him and gently tied them for me. The gesture so familiar and devastating that I had to look at the ceiling to keep from falling apart. When he stood, he did not block me. He only rested one hand against the door frame, leaving the way open. Do you want me to let you go? He asked. The honest answer was no. The kinder answer was yes. I reached for the handle. I want you to know why I cannot stay. I had my hand on the doorknob when Ryan finally understood that silence could be a kind of goodbye. I felt the change before I saw it, not in a dramatic way, not like thunder or broken glass, but in the sudden stillness of his scent. The warm cedar pulled back, sharpened by fear, then softened again into something achingly familiar, like he was trying not to reach for me with anything except the truth. Ethan, he said behind me. I closed my eyes. Please do not make this harder. I think I made it hard years ago. My fingers froze around the knob. Ryan's voice was quiet, but every word carried the weight of someone opening a door inside himself for the first time. I thought love was supposed to announce itself. I thought it was supposed to feel like lightning or certainty or some grand sign I could not miss. So when being with you felt easy, I called it friendship. When I wanted to tell you everything first, I called it habit. When other people felt wrong because they were not you, I called myself difficult. My throat tightened so much I could barely breathe. The hallway light slipped under the door, a thin gold line between staying and leaving. Ryan, I whispered, but this time his name was not a warning. It was a wound. He stepped closer, slow enough that I could have moved away if I wanted to. I did not. Every date I went on ended the same way, he said. I came home and told you about it. Every good thing that happened, I wanted to share with you first. Every bad day, I came here and waited for you to knock, or call, or send me some ridiculous picture from the grocery store because you knew it would make me laugh. I thought that was what best friends did. A weak laugh escaped him, full of regret. Maybe it is. But I do not think best friends spend an entire evening practicing for a date and forget the person waiting at the restaurant. The phone buzzed again from the coffee table, distant now, almost unreal. This time, Ryan looked at it. So did I? The sound had ruled the room all night, but suddenly it seemed small compared to what stood between us. You should still answer him, I said, though my voice had lost its strength. He deserves honesty. Ryan nodded. He does. He walked to the coffee table, picked up the phone, and for one terrible second, I braced myself to watch him choose the easier life. Instead, he typed a message with steady hands, read it once, and sent it. Then he placed the phone face down again. I told him I was sorry, and that I could not meet him tonight because it would be unfair to sit across from him while thinking about someone else. My heart stumbled. Someone else. Ryan turned back to me. His blue eyes were no longer cold or uncertain. They were clear in a way that frightened me more than confusion ever had. You, he said. One word. No practice. No audience. No borrowed script. Just me. The apartment felt impossibly quiet after that, the rain softening against the windows, the city holding its breath below us. Ryan stopped, several feet away, leaving the door open, leaving me a choice. I know I am late, he said. I know I should have seen it sooner. But I am seeing it now, and if you walk out because I hurt you, I will let you. I will not chase you into the hallway and turn this into another reason you have to be strong. But if any part of you wants to stay, even for one more minute, I want to spend that minute telling you the truth without pretending it is for anyone else. I looked at the open door, then at the man who had been my safest place and my deepest ache for almost half my life. My hand slipped from the knob. I did not forgive him yet. I did not know how. But I stayed. I stayed. And somehow that was the bravest thing I had done all night. Braver than walking out. Braver than saying his name with all that hurt in my mouth. Braver than admitting that one more second in his apartment could either save me or finish breaking me. Ryan did not smile like he had won. He did not rush toward me or fill the silence with apologies too large to hold. He only let out a breath so quiet I almost missed it, like he had been holding himself together by force and my staying had given him permission to exist again, then walked to the closet by the entryway and pulled out the soft gray coat I always borrowed when the lake wind cut through the city. He held it open for me, not as a claim, not as a demand, but as a question he was afraid I might still refuse. I looked at him for a long moment before stepping back inside and letting him drape it over my shoulders. The coat was warm from the apartment, and it smelled like cedar, winter air, and every evening I had ever spent pretending I was not in love, every movie night on his couch, every late coffee, every almost touch we had both turned into a joke before it could become a confession. You do not get to fix this with one romantic speech, I said. My voice was still unsteady, but it belonged to me again, and that mattered. Ryan nodded at once, his hands falling carefully to his sides, as if even adjusting the collar for me would be asking too much. I know, and I am not going to become your easy answer just because Tyler made you realize you were lonely. His face tightened at Tyler's name, not with jealousy now, but with shame. You are not my easy answer, he said. You are the answer I was too afraid to read. That almost broke me, because it sounded exactly like the truth and exactly like the kind of sentence I had once dreamed he would say, but I held the pieces together. Then start smaller. His eyes searched mine, cautious and hopeful in a way that made him look younger than he was. How small? I glanced toward the kitchen, where the lemons still sat in their bright little bowl, absurdly cheerful after the storm we had made of the evening, after the ruined reservation, the raised voices, the almost goodbye at the door. Dinner, I said. Not a confession. Not forever. Just dinner. Ryan blinked, as if the offer was more precious than forgiveness, as if I had placed something fragile in his hands and trusted him not to crush it. Here, you already missed your reservation. For the first time that night, he laughed softly, and the sound did not hurt as much. It settled somewhere warm instead, somewhere I had been trying to lock away from him. I have pasta, he said. You have dry pasta and one jar of sauce that expired in May. June, he corrected. That is not better. The familiar rhythm slipped between us, fragile but real, like a bridge rebuilt one careful board at a time, and I hated how badly I had missed it even while standing right in front of him. Ryan moved to the kitchen, rolling up the sleeves of his navy shirt while I sat at the island and watched him do something as ordinary as fill a pot with water. It should not have felt like a beginning, but it did. The rain softened outside, no longer striking the windows like accusations. The city lights blurred gold and white across the glass, turning his reflection into something almost dreamlike as he moved between the stove and the cabinet, opening the wrong drawer twice because he was nervous. My phone buzzed once with a weather alert, and neither of us flinched. That felt important too. Ryan looked over his shoulder. "Ethan Miller," he said, his voice low but steady. "Will you have dinner with me tonight?" The question was simple. No rehearsal. No other name hiding underneath it. No Tyler. No panic. No convenient loneliness dressed up as fate. Just Ryan, asking me for one ordinary evening, as if ordinary could be sacred if we were careful enough with it. I looked at the alpha who had been my best friend, my safest place, my almost heartbreak, and perhaps, if time was kinder from now on, something more. "Yes," I said, "but do not burn the pasta." His smile reached his eyes this time, slow and stunned and beautiful enough to make my chest ache. As he turned back to the stove, warmth moved through the room again, not sharp or overwhelming, but deep and unmistakable, curling through the cedar in the air, through the steam rising from the pot, through the space between us that no longer felt empty. My breath caught. Ryan stilled. The cedar in his scent answered something inside me, something I had spent years pretending not to recognize, and for one impossible second, it felt as if an invisible thread had pulled tight between our hearts. Ryan slowly looked back at me, his expression full of wonder and fear, like he knew the same impossible thing had just reached for him too. I felt it too, bright and terrifying and tender enough to undo every lie we had told ourselves. Whatever had just awakened between us was not practice anymore.